Hello and welcome back to Scholastically Natalie, where we talk about books, writing, reading, D&D, and sometimes other things. Today we are continuing with 100 journal prompts, and we are on number 25, so we're a fourth of the way through. Woohoo! Bear in mind that this is still stuff that I created for when I was student teaching and figured would be fun to do on our own. And so number 25 is called Allegiance. And my question for my students was, should schools say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning? What does it mean? Argue your position in a paragraph, 8 to 10 sentences. So, personally, I don't think schools should say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. Our school stopped sometime in middle school when our principal, who would lead it over the PA system, messed it up, and then never did it again. Out of embarrassment, which honestly is just kind of hilarious. By the time high school came around and I went to Buckeye Girls State, I was not entirely, I had forgotten the pledge and had to relearn it because they made us say it every morning. And sing the national anthem, which was also awkward because I played it in marching band and thus never had to sing it. So I didn't know the words for that either. And I would like to make a brief aside for any high school juniors, who might be offered a time to go to Buckeye Girls State. I will stop you and tell you that it can be a fun time if you're into government stuff or want to be involved in like committees and leadership stuff. Like, I'm sure it will look good on your resume if you're going into like, how do I phrase it? Leadership oriented fields. For me, I'm one, not very competitive. Two, at that time, I didn't want to be in charge of doing stuff. And I wasn't taking it super seriously. So I didn't get that much out of it. We sat at the back of all of the Democratic meetings and played hangman. So that should tell you what I got out of the experience. Though I did almost give myself heat stroke at one point, and I found out that our band director taught us things in different keys from literally everyone else. So that was fun trying to be part of the band. I'm not kidding, everybody played Seven Nation Army and I was the only one who knew it in a different key. And then we tried playing the Star Spangled Banner and I was, again, the only one who had it in a different arrangement. So awkward. But yeah, I think a lot of the girls I went with got something out of it. I didn't really. I just had to wake up at like 5 in the morning and then stay awake until like midnight every day, and I really hated that. Mostly because I wanted to sleep. But, you know, you get to see the Mount Union campus, which is nice. Experience their dining halls, which did give me something to expect out of college, although when I went to college I was then disappointed because we didn't have an ice cream machine. So, you know, a little rude. But yeah, so I don't know. And then also personally, I don't get anything out of saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Never had. It's just a semi-awkward thing that nobody really likes participating in. Like, I don't know, show me a high school kid that actually likes to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will tell you found an anomaly. Exactly 0 people in my school district liked doing it, and we were all kind of happy when we didn't have to do it anymore. During student teaching, my school did do the Pledge of Allegiance, which was weird to watch, considering by then I hadn't said it for the better part of, like, 8 to 9 years. I think if you're trying to get people to be nationalistic, perhaps I should say nationalists, you should instead incorporate them into the workings of the country and their rights, and how that is important. The Pledge of Allegiance isn't the important part of that moment. It's rededicating yourself to your country. You could have kids sing Devil with the Blue Dress, and that would make 0 difference if they didn't care. You'd get the same result. Classrooms of kids with the select group of boys talking really loudly for the rest of us, while we all just mouth along. We had to be goaded to stand and face the right direction by our teachers. We weren't dedicating ourselves to our country and its future. We were wishing we could sleep. think a much better way of getting people to be nationalists is to have them see that they can make a difference, or that there is something they can do. Or even just have them think about ways they'd like the country to improve. That's how I look at things. Whenever I talk about it with people who are more conservative in their views, they're always like, oh, we don't need to change anything about the country, like it's perfect the way it is. And I'm like, I think the best form of citizenship, of supporting your country, is to make it better, is to want it to improve. Things that stagnate just get poisoned or dropped out of the gene pool, whichever way you'd like to phrase that. But things that don't evolve die off. And so if you aren't searching to constantly improve something, then isn't it ultimately worthless? I don't know, that's kind of my perspective on it, I guess, being the country. For me, the Pledge of Allegiance is really just a symbolic gesture that often lines up with propaganda about our country being the best one. Obviously, it's not the best one. There's many good countries out there. I don't think you can really say any of them are the best. Like, they all have issues. Some of them larger issues than the others. But, for those who aren't, operating large human rights violations, they still have problems. And I think it's silly to live in a country and not acknowledge that it has problems that could be fixed if people, decided to make a difference. Of course, we all differ in the ways that we think these things should or could be fixed. But I think, I don't know. So, I think, I don't know, the Pledge of Allegiance has never really meant that much to me. It's never really meant anything to me. As strange as that sounds to say, I've never really heard anything different. Like, the Star-Spangled Banner does do something for me. Whenever I hear it, it does strike a chord. I'm not sure what kind of chord, but it pokes at me somewhere. But yeah, the Pledge of Allegiance is just something I memorized to say in school, and nothing else for me. So, let me know how you feel about the Pledge of Allegiance, saying it in school. Is it something you think we need to do, we don't need to do? If you're in a different country from the US, do you say a form of some sort of Pledge of Allegiance to your country, or acknowledgement of your country in your schools? Do you deal with that? I don't know. I don't know how other schools do it, how other countries do it. And if not, how do you feel about being a good citizen in your country? What is it? Personally, I think if you're contributing and trying to make the country better, that's what you can do. So, I don't know. I feel like that's not a super controversial opinion, but maybe it is. Let me know how you're feeling about it. If you've got any opinions that you would desperately like me to know, I'm honestly interested. I haven't really heard much in the opposite viewpoint from anybody on this, just because it's not really a topic I talk about with people. So, if you do have an opposite point of view, I'd love to hear it and why, because I find this an interesting discussion. Just bear in mind that I'm an anxious idiot, so please don't be too mean to me in the comments. I will cry. So beyond that, let me know if you have anything in specific you'd like me to cover in our next video, discuss in our next video, write or just talk about in general. That's all for now. Hopefully this wasn't too much of just a giant ramble session, as much as it probably was, because, again, you put me in a microphone with my mind wandering, and I'll tell you a whole lot. Oh, that's my alarm. And so, in the alarm telling me I've definitely rambled for too long, I will say thank you. I hope you mildly enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe, because we got 75 more of these babies to go. If you didn't, tell me why. And with that, Scholastically Natalie is out.